I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. You're back from the Karlovy Film Festival.
Back.
Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had never been there or to the Czech Republic in general. If I had the chance to do it again, I would like to spend at least a couple of days in Prague because I didn't really get to do that properly. Because, once you get there, I'm about an hour and a half outside of Prague in this smaller spa town. And then, of course, that comes voraciously to life during these 8 or 9 days where the whole community and everybody visiting it's kind of like a party festival. So Hotel Thermal, where all of the films are screened, which was not the most comfortable screening experience. The theaters are basically just chairs set up for you to watch films at. So, watching a couple films back to back was, I thought, kind of uncomfortable. But I mean, they have all of these musical events. It feels like a Euro version of what I'd imagine, because I've never been. South by Southwest feels like, where there's just all this stuff going on. But I ate a ton of great food, including a lot of goulash. I like a lot of Czech food. I had some pizza while I was there. And I watched all of the competition films and I reviewed, I don't know, about 5 of them. But I thought it was quite lovely. It's not a very gay city, so I like to be around my people where they can gather safely. And it didn't feel like that. But it is a really youth-oriented event where there's all these students that get to see things very easily. It's also one of the most accessible, as in there's all these ramps. And I think that if you have any kind of disability, a lot of people get to see things for free. So they are very welcoming in a way that I don't know that I've experienced thus far at a film festival for various other reasons. But I really liked it. I was very happy to have the opportunity to do so. I would say out of the major film festivals, this is definitely like top 5-ish. And I was happy to be there. Although it's a long travel day getting in and out, let me tell you.
How many films did you watch?
I only watched the competition films. So what is that, 10?
You only watched 10 films in total?
I think I was only watching like 2 a day.
Well, if you were there for 9 days.
Well, the first day and the last day I did nothing.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I enjoyed my time. I drank too much. I made some Czech friends. A lot of these ladies introduced me to Bekarova, which is kind of a digestive. People tend to eat after their dinners, which is strong. But I tried this grapefruit Bekarova, and I never checked luggage, but I so wanted, if I had, I would have brought some of that home with me. And it is a goal of mine to find that somewhere in LA, because I'm sure I probably can.
Well, moving on to the restaurant section, we went to Marix, which when I was younger was a very popular restaurant in West Hollywood. That was more about people. I recall it being popular for Taco Tuesday.
You and I went there well over a decade ago, a couple times. Yep.
It closed down, I think, during the pandemic.
Yes, it was behind. I thought it had the same ownership as Basics, BASIX, which is still closed.
It reopened last year. I did not realize that. It's tucked away off of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I drive by not infrequently, I didn't notice. And someone mentioned it to me that it was open. So we tried it. It is a nice space.
Lovely space.
They serve, I would call it Tex-Mex food.
Mm-hmm.
The food is very mid.
There was no flavor.
I got carnitas with beans and rice, and it's like one step up from, the frozen meals at Trader Joe's, maybe. Like, it's not,
well, see,
it's edible, but it doesn't taste like anything special.
See, when I get shit like that, I can doctor it up because I got stuff at home. And I had a New Mex burrito, chicken machaca. And didn't really taste like much.
But the space is cool. It was a nice day outside. We got there around 5:30, so it was not crowded. The sun was in the perfect position. it kind of has a convertible roof.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really nice to sit there, but I would imagine during dinner time, it would be, if it were crowded, I would not elect to eat there.
Oh, hell no.
I don't think it's worth that.
And I'd be embarrassed to bring your mother there.
Wow. It's certainly not somewhere to enjoy good Mexican food.
No. Mm-mm. But, you know, to be fair, the prices weren't the worst. And, you know, I've never heard of Mexican white shrimp. That was the first, I think. And I forgot to look that up. But they also had crab and shrimp something. Enchiladas, but they were only $22, and that price made me suspicious because I already knew I was going to be disappointed in the amount of crab and shrimp I got, so I didn't go there. Why be angry?
I think it'd be a good place to go before dinner to meet someone to have a drink, maybe,
And then go
where
have
it's like quiet and yeah. But I'm glad they were able to reopen because it is a cute spot.
The staff was friendly. It's, you know, it felt very queer.
Also, there's quite a bit of parking in the area before 7 p.m. Once 7 p.m. hits, you need a permit to park. So I think that 5 to 7 period is the perfect time to go, not only because it would be less busy, but you can take advantage of the sun being in the right spot and you can park.
Afterwards, don't bother.
And nearby, a new grocery store opened up called Laurel Supply.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the people who own Laurel Hardware, which is also on Santa Monica. It's a fancy restaurant. If you drive by, it looks like a little hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go inside, it's a pretty trendy eatery and it has like some bars. It's cute. We've only been once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that crowd feels, it's not my speed, but the place is cute.
It is. We bought some licorice that were in mason
Well, I was
jars.
talking about Laurel Hardware.
Oh, Laurel. Yes.
But so then I guess
Oh.
talking about Laurel Supply, the grocery store, it's
No.
supposed to be like Erewhon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I heard about it was that it's like the fancier Erewhon.
Uh-huh.
And an Erewhon just opened up down the street, taking over a Sprouts.
I like Sprouts.
I did too, but Laurel Supply, we've been twice.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who said they listened to us said hello there. So if they're listening, hey,
Girl.
what did you think of Laurel Supply?
I like the vibe in there, and there's some things I want to try, including the pizza. We've only gone in there after dinner, and you know, I'm not going to be a glutton, but I want to go back to try the pizza. They have some interesting things that are overpriced that I'm sure I'll try eventually. But I broke down and got this licorice that was in a mason jar, and they were all priced to $12, which is too much. But I noticed that some of the jars had more licorice in them, so I picked one that was full to the brim, and I swear that those are Wallaby licorice that they have repackaged in a mason jar and slapped their logo on it and are charging us $12 to buy it in a jar. I still did it.
They do taste like that brand of licorice, like if they were the fresh,
I know.
like the freshest version of those. Are they worth $12?
This is what somebody like Luscious Massacre needs to do with her transvestigations. Like something is happening there, and I know it's that licorice.
I think the space is really cute. The way it's set up is cute. It's more open than an Erewhon or like a Bristol Farms.
Yes.
But I suspect the hot food will be a little disappointing.
Well,
I'll definitely try it.
I'll try. Impressed me the first time, though.
They have a sushi bar. I was reading reviews of the food and they were less than glowing. I think the consensus is that it's cute, overpriced, and the hot food is nothing to get excited about.
So great for West Hollywood.
But we got some of the baked goods, which were fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pricing is comparable to Erewhon and in some areas less expensive.
Sure.
They have a little coffee bar, juice bar.
You just got to dig around for a deal.
It's a cute little space. I don't know that that'd be a place I'd buy all my groceries.
Oh, hell no.
Moving on, films released we didn't cover. The live action Moana. I knew from the posters that this would not be something for me.
Well, I haven't seen Moana or Moana 2. I think if I hadn't been out of town, we probably would have made the effort, especially because we are both fans of Rena Owen, who we saw in the airport at Hawaii while she was filming this and said hello to us.
She was super nice.
Oh, yes, lovely. And
she remembered that you had interviewed her once.
No, I was at a Q&A where I met her and we had chatted.
Oh, she remembered that.
For like an hour. And then I was like, I showed my husband Once We're Warriors. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She's quite taken with you, by the way. And she met my whole family because that was for my 40th birthday. And I feel bad that I haven't seen it, but I know everybody's talking about Dwayne Johnson's wig. I mean, eventually I'll catch up with these, but there you have it.
I would have to watch the animated film first before I watch the live action.
Yes.
I have no interest in doing any of that, but
eventually I will.
I mean, it probably, it would have to be a Patreon.
Sure.
Someone's going to have to pay me to watch the animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Night Nurse.
This, not the Barbara Stanwyck, Joan Blondell pre-code film that I love from the 30s. No, this was a Sundance film this year, directed by Georgia Bernstein. And it's about as the title suggests, a night nurse that becomes involved with a strange patient, an elderly gentleman. And then it seems like it's going to be an adult erotic thriller. It's like hetero Bruce LaBruce almost. And then I thought it fell apart a little bit, but it is weird and out there. And if we had more time, it would have been something to talk about.
Projects of interest. Argento Huppert.
There's an update. This was announced years ago, but then he broke his hip in 2023. And Dario Argento recently said, "Oh yeah, gearing up to film his last film. It's supposed to be his bloodiest film, starring Isabelle Huppert. And throughout the past several years, we've only learned that it's a remake of a 1940s Mexican film. And then at the end of 2024, Isabel had listed on something like 10 films she had watched recently, and one of them was La Otra, starring Dolores Del Rio, which of course is a version of Psychotic Twins where one kills the other. There's basically two Bette Davis films that are the same thing, A Stolen Life and Dead Ringer. So I think he's going to be remaking La Otra. That is just my guess based on details, but I cannot wait. I hope this happens.
I think the only Dario Argento film I know is Suspiria.
I mean, that could be, which I do love.
I'm looking at a poster for Innocent Blood. That looks interesting.
Innocent Blood, with Anthony LaPaglia
from 1992.
He didn't
Robert Loggia.
Yeah,
Anthony LaPaglia.
And what's her name from La Femme Nikita?
Anne Pariad.
He didn't direct that though.
Oh, that's not him.
No, okay. That's not Dario Argento. I want to say that's. Is that Coppola? No. Who directed Innocent Blood?
Well, I guess the only Argento film I know is Suspiria. Then.
Oh, that's really random that's the one you pulled up. But anyhow.
Moonsong,
a new film directed by Rebecca Miller, who of course is married to Daniel Day-Lewis, and starring Elle Fanning and Julianne Moore as Margaret Wise Brown, the author of the iconic children's novel Goodnight Moon, which is good casting because Julianne Moore has written a children's novel, one that the Trump administration banned about that freckle girl or whatever. So interesting. Oh, sorry, to backtrack. It's John Landis who directed Innocent Blood, of American Werewolf in London fame. And
Dario Argento is in the film Innocent Blood.
Oh, that's where that came from.
Up.
I'm like, okay, I saw that a few years ago.
Anyway, now that you've cleared that blockage, are you done with Moonsong?
Yep.
The Bell Jar.
There is a previous film version of this that I've never seen, but every depressed teenager, including myself, should or has read The Bell Jar by the great Sylvia Plath. And Sarah Polley is tackling it, which is great. But interestingly, it's going to star Connor Story and Billie Eilish.
Red Snow,
the latest film from Diao Inan, who I first discovered, I think he won Berlin well over a decade ago for Black Coal Thin Ice, which I really liked. I wasn't as much a fan of the follow-up Wild Goose Lake, but is now commencing on a new thriller, and that's exciting.
My Year of Rest and Relaxation.
Rose Glass, who we both loved both of her previous films, Saint Maud and Love Lies Bleeding with Ms. Kristen Stewart. She's adapting the novel by Otessa Moshfegh. And you know Otessa from Eileen, which we were both fans of William Oldroyd's adaptation, but that's exciting to me.
This past week on Patreon, we reviewed A Walk to Remember, the early 2000s teen drama starring Mandy Moore as a Christian
woman.
And Ninotchka, the 1930s Greta Garbo film.
Yes, directed by Ernst Lubitsch.
That review for Ninotchka is free to everyone. So if you're not a patron, you can still check it out. You can join for free. But if you want to hear everything, hundreds of reviews, you have to give us some money.
No.
Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section. Victor Willis died. He's the founding lead singer of The Village People.
Oh.
And co-writer of some of their iconic songs like YMCA, Macho Man, and In the Navy.
Oceanography, what?
He died following what his family described as a brief but aggressive illness. He was 74 years old.
Damn.
Kjell Nielsen, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who played Lord Humongous in the classic Mad Max 2 film, died. He was 76 years old.
Oh, God, I haven't thought of him in a long.
Michael Byrne, famous for his work in the Indiana Jones and Harry Potter movies,
I did see that.
Mm-hmm. He was 82 years old. Louise Lasser, an American actress, she died at the age of 87.
You're familiar with Louise? She was in a lot of early Woody Allen stuff, like Stardust Memories I Love and Bananas. You might remember her as one of Ellen Burstyn's Clutch of Old Ladies and Requiem for a Dream. She's in Todd Solondz's Happiness. You might remember her as the mother from Frankenhooker. And also we saw her in that Owen Klein, Kevin Kline's son film we both quite liked called Funny Pages a couple years ago. And she looked pretty decrepit in that. She was that cranky old lady in the pharmacy in that one scene.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Louise. But I mean, she's probably best remembered. I think a certain generation knows her best for Mary Hartman, which I've never watched.
Randolph Mantooth, the actor best known for his iconic portrayal of paramedic John Gage on Emergency, died at the age of 80. Lastly, Bonnie Tyler died, the Welsh singer with the distinctive husky voice. She died at the age of 75. I think we all know her from her big hit, Total Eclipse of the Heart.
We're living in a powder keg, giving off sparks, yeah. The soundtrack of many of our queer lives, I think, were defined in moments by Bonnie Tyler, as well as many films. I mean, that song is used. I always think of the queer film Stage Mother, Cate Blanchett and Bandits. Yeah. And remember Nikki French redid it in the late 90s?
The secret film this week was my choice, and I chose the 1979 TV movie When She Was Bad, starring Cheryl Ladd, Robert Urich, and Eileen Brennan. What is it about? Stressed by a recent move and being a stay-at-home mom, Teenie takes out her bottled-up rage on her daughter Robbie. Only the help of her friends, family, and counselors can stop her from harming Robbie and herself. Why did I choose this film? You sent me a clip from the movie, and it was just Cheryl Ladd screaming at this little girl. And I don't know. I feel so stupid. I don't know why I thought this would be funny.
Because those clips out of context are.
This movie is depressing as hell.
It's depressing. Halfway through, I was like, this is the sobering version of Night Bitch.
Ugh, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those TV movies during a period when we were getting storylines that tackled taboo issues like alcoholism, domestic violence, sexual assault, and mental illness. So it's part of that coterie of things. I will say the portrayal is sobering, specifically from Cheryl Ladd.
Yes.
As this stressed out mother who is abusing her child. But it's more than that. She is suffering from depression, I think marital issues. She's isolated. I mean, there's a lot happening. It's just not this crazy. You know, the clip that you sent me was funny because it just seems like, damn, this lady is popping off her daughter like she's crazy. But it's not funny. Like, she really is going through some stuff mentally.
Well, I would say the title doesn't help because, of course, that's taken from the Henry Wadsworth Longfellow poem.
Right. And the title and the clip made me think this was going to be more like The Bad Seed.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, the girl's annoying.
Or Mommy Dearest, which is a favorite child abuse drama of ours.
So the story, Cheryl Ladd plays Teenie. Her first name is actually Bettina. She has recently moved with her husband, Bob, played by Robert Urich, and their young daughter, Robbie, who's played by Nicole Eggert, which is crazy to me. I know her from Baywatch. They move into this new neighborhood, and on the surface, they appear to be a typical middle-class white family. Like, everything seems perfect. But we see very quickly, literally like the first day the husband goes off to work, Teenie is miserable. She spends every day alone, taking care of this girl, Robbie, while her husband, Bob, is really trying to build his career. And we find out pretty early the move was initiated by the wife and some issues she was having. Which reminds me of Insidious, this family moving to a new home to escape something, which I think is probably a familiar plot line. But it's made clear the husband has overextended himself to do this and has taken a risk on this job selling life insurance of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So he's stressed out and really devoted to building his career.
Mm-hmm.
But this move Teeny has initiated has also left her without friends or a support system. We don't see her interacting with anyone. In fact, she seems like she suffers from severe social anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and becomes emotionally overwhelmed. Then you have this little girl, Robbie, who's portrayed as energetic and demanding.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother starts to respond with anger instead of patience.
Well, it's weird too. There's a thing where they're styling the daughter to look like the mother. Robert Urich's desk at work, he has a framed photograph of them where they're wearing the ugliest dress, but they look like sister wives.
Yeah. What starts as yelling soon escalates into physical abuse, which is the climax. But it's Teeny, Cheryl Ladd's character's mental decline that is on display, because throughout the story, we see her experience isolation, exhaustion, resentment towards being a mother, feelings of failure, and explosive anger followed by extreme guilt. And for each abusive incident she has with her daughter, she promises herself it won't happen again. But the cycle repeats itself.
Yes.
I will say it was kind of tough to sit through. It's not a long movie, but I think my expectation of it being sort of campy fun was squashed very quickly.
I mean, in some ways, it's quite rudimentary, but at the same time, it felt really sobering and a lot more mature in how it was approaching this decline than stuff you'd see now.
Yeah. The fact that we don't get to the physical abuse, which is what turns the beat around until the third act, it is kind of brutal to sit through this very unhappy woman dealing with her child who she's not able to properly care for. She doesn't have the tools, the support. And this woman is asking for help. That's the saddest part, is she's being very clear, like, I don't think I can do this. This little bitch is driving me crazy.
But then their social status would be affected. And it's
right.
What's the city they live in? It's some, everywhere America, small mill city, and the neighboring city is called Port City or something like that. But it's clearly coming at a time when this is just kind of saturating the zeitgeist for middle America, right? Where mental health issues were starting to be addressed more directly. And we first see that in a supporting character played by Marsha Lewis called Gloria. You might remember her from a supporting role in the fantastic Susan Tyrrell vehicle, Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker.
Oh.
But
yes, she's the neighbor.
Yeah, who has very interesting hair in this. But it's clear that they meet at this football game that was really awkward, and then Cheryl Ladd next sees this woman sobbing outside. She's like, "Oh, I just had an appointment with my psychologist, and this always does this to me." And they have a really interesting conversation. Again, it's on the nose, where Gloria is saying, "I need to change. My husband doesn't want me to, and we're trying to figure out where all my anger comes from."
If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP, the AI native ERP that upgrades right from QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
Her husband initially, Bob, played by Robert Urich, dismisses his wife's complaints. He just thinks she's overwhelmed and assumes things will, I guess, magically improve with time. Meanwhile, the daughter, Robbie, has become scared of her mother. There are physical signs this little girl's being abused. The mother's emotional state deteriorates and is literally losing control. So eventually, the husband has no choice but to see something is wrong. Again, Teeny asks for help, but her husband is saying, like, we really don't have the resources. You need to pull yourself together. Teeny actually just goes down to the hospital asking for help, and she gets referred to someone, and this person's saying, well, it's expensive, but there is this person who has this person who might be able to help you. And all of that leads to Eileen Brennan, whose character's name is Mary.
Yes.
Coming to pay her a visit. Speaking of the film being rudimentary, we see Mary, Eileen Brennan's character, show up, and I'm not sure what her role is. She almost seems like she's one of those family therapists who's working on their hours. So they're like, like maybe she's like an intern.
Well, because there's no talk of payment being made. So I'm like, is this woman getting paid?
We are going to get back to that. because she's doing a lot for what I think is very little. But the first time Mary shows up, she just shows up at the house, and Teeny, who's there with her husband, freaks out. Like, no, you can't be here. You need to leave. And she tells her husband, oh, that was just like Jehovah's Witness or something.
Lady selling cosmetics, yeah.
And then immediately we cut to Mary coming right back. There are several scenes where I feel like the editing and the storytelling are redundant and odd.
They're jarring, but I think that's because it's for television, for commercial breaks.
Oh, that's a good point. But Mary shows up and she seems to spend a lot of time with this lady like she's her good friend.
I know.
And it seems like she's helping Teeny understand that she needs to advocate for herself. And so she does. And it kind of backfires on her because the husband gets upset and Teeny blames Mary for trying to ruin her marriage. But the climax is one day Teeny pops off on her daughter, Robbie, and hits her in the head.
So hard that.
She ends up suffering from I had to write it down, a subdural hematoma, which requires surgery. I thought my mama hit me like that numerous times. And this little girl ended up in the hospital. It's not funny, but no, but I think as someone who grew up being disciplined, I don't think hitting people is the answer or violence is ever the answer.
Well, then the context too is that this small little blonde woman, and by the way, Cheryl Ladd's very beautiful.
She is.
She reminds me kind of like a miniature Kim Basinger, but she comes in here sobbing. I guess it makes sense that I know it's a different time period, but that nobody's asking any questions. Like, it's really suspicious.
Well, I was thinking too, like, I got whippings regularly. And I think maybe because of the neighborhood I grew up in and being a little kid of color, I often had little bruises and belt marks and welts. And, no one ever said anything up until I was like 12 years old. I don't think I was abused. By today's standard, I was. But it's just interesting because we find out this is not the first time she's beat this girl so bad she ended up in the hospital. We find out that that's the reason why they had to move.
I kept telling you, I'm like, this is not the first time.
You did. You kept saying it, and I'm like, no, it has to be, because the way she hit that girl the first time we see it, she acted like that was something she's not used to.
No, the fear that she has with Mary, with Eileen Brennan, which is a year before her sole Oscar nod for Private Benjamin, by the way. I'm like, the way that she is so, I'm afraid I'm going to hit her. I'm like, she's hit her before. It's happened.
I was projecting my own experience because I think my mom was so quick to hit me like it was nothing. So that's why I was thinking, oh, this lady hasn't done this before, because she's acting like her world is caving in. My mom would whoop my ass between commercials and soap operas, but Mary, I guess, is a mandated reporter, if that was a thing back in the 70s, and reports the abuse. Robbie gets sent to protective custody, and Teeny has to go to treatment. So then it becomes more of like a marriage drama because the husband is left alone and he doesn't know what to do. It seems like he genuinely doesn't want to lose his family.
It does, but I think he has taken her for granted in a way that I think he's a little one-dimensional, but there's some interesting elements because he has a coworker played by Dabney Coleman who is recently single and lives in a state of disarray, and they're out drinking one night and he sees Dabney's home and he realizes like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me because I can't take care of myself because I'm a man-child.
Which reminded me of the movie The Paper
with Michael Keaton
and Robert Duvall, because Robert Duvall is like the editor of this newspaper, and Michael Keaton has a wife and kid, and
I think she's about to
have a kid, and he sees the future, which is Robert Duvall, this man who prioritized work, which destroyed his marriage. His daughter is distant from him. I think The Paper is an excellent movie. I would highly recommend it. We have a podcast episode for it, but I was reminded of that when Robert Urich's character meets with his boss and sees like, damn, if I don't figure shit out, I'm gonna end up like this fool, middle-aged and in a dirty apartment.
Yes, but it's almost comical because towards the end when Cheryl Ladd's been gone for a while and she comes to visit Robert, and again, this is where the editing gets real wonky in the film. Like, wait, he just left you? Okay. And the disarray is ridiculous. The way the pillows are on the couch, I'm just like, sir, you need to grow up.
We'll get to the ending in a second of how this situation resolves, but I want to start going through my notes. I selected this movie a couple of days ago, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I thought about it and the title, I kept thinking the title was Why She Be So Bad?
Why She Be So Bad?
Now I want to see that movie.
I wish that was the title.
Yeah.
That could be a Tubi original.
This movie should be called The Shout. It is. We also have a podcast episode for The Shout, which stars a man I like.
Alan Bates.
That's right.
And John Hurt and the lovely Susanna York, directed by Jerzy Skolimowski.
This movie is so loud, and I'm assuming it's by design to add to the tension and chaos of it all. But even before things go south, Teenie is just screaming, constantly screaming. The first time, it's like the next morning when they first move into their new house. And for some reason, Robbie, the little girl, is just sitting at the breakfast table eating her cereal all alone while dad is taking the shower. And mom thinks it's a good idea to fill a pitcher with ice water and throw it onto the husband while he's showering. And they start roughhousing in the showers, hollering and shit.
She's
I'm like
screaming at, the neighbors can hear that. But what's interesting is because these are people in their early 30s, I think, and Eileen Brennan makes a comment to Cheryl Ladd, like, you basically stopped being your father's daughter and became this man's husband. Like, they seem like people, like a lot of people that never had a chance to kind of grow up as themselves yet, fully formed.
But things go south immediately because the first day the husband has to go to work and he's saying like, well, I can't do this. Like you need to figure it out because I need to get this situated. And she was expecting him to just be at home, I guess. She kind of loses it. And we see Robbie, who again is portrayed as being, I mean, I would call, I don't really care for children. So to me, this little girl would be very difficult to be around. But I guess she's just being a normal kid.
She's just being a normal kid,
She's
really.
bossy and I don't know.
She's bossy. She's like the cat.
This is why corporal punishment probably isn't the best thing because not all kids respond to it. I mean, your mama beat you so bad you end up in the hospital and you still have an attitude.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm like, this girl's not acting abused yet.
So it doesn't work on every kid. I mean, it worked on me enough that I was scared of my mom, but I would still act up. And that's why I got whippings all the time. But I never got too crazy because I knew she'd be mad.
It didn't work on me. It made me have problems with authority for sure. Do not hit me. And I will do the exact opposite always.
Thanks, mom and dad. Now I have to deal with this bullshit.
You're welcome.
Anyway, the first time we see the mom lose it is Robbie is at the kitchen table and she's screaming about wanting more milk in her glass.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, first she spills some.
Teenie like just loses it in a way that's like, oh, this woman is stressed.
Well, it's staged in a way where she just had a conflict with the husband where he puts her down or demeans her, makes her feel invisible. And the only way she has to redirect that energy towards the kid because the kid is representative of like, oh, I got to be stuck here taking care of you. And he treats me like that's my only ability or duty or necessity. And she resents the kid.
Teenie takes her kid out for a day of shopping or something. And that's when she bumps into that lady from Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Gloria. Mm-hmm.
And she's jogging. And this woman is not young or fit, but she's jogging in her little sweatsuit, her little towel. Mm-hmm. And she sees Teenie with her daughter and says, oh, hey, and immediately starts crying, which is funny because this woman is a very plain-faced lady, but it almost looks like she has eyelash extensions on. She has very long eyelashes. But she starts crying like, oh my gosh, like these women are fragile. And she explains that she just left her therapist appointment and that lately she's been talking about how she's fat because she has a lot of anger. Mm-hmm. But her husband says because she eats too damn much. Mm-hmm. And so I think that scene is meant to spark the idea in Teenie's head that she needs therapy.
That there's an outlet for her. Mm-hmm. Later, we see Gloria in the grocery store talking about a new sexy nightgown her husband bought. Oof. With her hair. I didn't mention it in that scene, but I could not tell where her hairline was based on that do.
Well, this is the problem when your hair is the same color as your face.
Yes, bread.
Because from a distance, you look like you have the head of Herman Munster. Like, you can't do that.
It looked like a Katya Frightwig. And then she's like, oh, let's get away from the cookies. They're making me nervous.
I will say that lady, like that character, would absolutely be someone, like if we worked together, she and I would be best friends.
Oh, yeah, she seems sweet. Yeah.
Another time we see Teenie out with her daughter, they end up at what looks like a fabric store or dress store. And
this part made me sad.
It did make me sad because Teenie sees another woman with her similarly aged daughter. And the daughter's being so lovely and respectful, and they're having a beautiful day. And the daughter says, oh, can we get this fabric? And the mom says, oh, I think this is out of our budget. Let's try to find something we can afford. And the daughter's like, yay. And then the mom picks something, and the daughter's so excited that her mom's going to make her a dress. So Bobby, Robert Urich's character, had given Teeny money to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
But Teeny thinks, oh, maybe I should just buy some fabric and make Robbie a dress.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get back home, Teeny tells Robbie, I have a surprise for you. And then Robbie's being a brat, banging on the door, like, I want to see my surprise. I want to see a surprise.
Like
so the mom...
Like when I opened tuna for the cat.
Oh, although I don't know, her love for, or her excitement for tuna water sort of goes up and down sometimes. Sometimes she acts like she doesn't want it. And then sometimes she starts screaming for
Sometimes
it.
She comes from the top floor and she's like, I
heard a can opener.
The good stuff's here.
But when Teeny shows Robbie that dress and puts it on her, and Robbie realizes the dress is too big, she goes off, and Teeny rips that dress off of her screaming.
Oh, well, because as an objective viewer, it's like, well, did you ask your daughter if she wanted the dress? Like, it's a, what's the Strother Martin quote from, you need to watch Cool Hand Luke. What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Well, we're going to get to her issues because I felt very bad for this lady.
I did too.
Of course, we get the ubiquitous scene where the little daughter's mimicking the abuse she's suffering. She's yelling at her doll, telling her she's stupid, which reminded me of
Mommy
Janet Jackson as Penny on Good Times.
Oh, God. I was going to say Mommy Dearest as well.
Let's talk about Eileen Brennan's character, Mary.
A saint.
She is this, and you know what? She seemed like someone I would also hang with, but she is doing the Lord's work. I don't understand who she works for, how they are billing.
Well, she reminded me of
Teeny and her husband.
A social worker capacity, but it's just when you have to quickly realize the parameters with which you are able to help somebody and how limiting those can be and how frustrating that can be. I mean, it is difficult work.
This is why I think working in social services would not have been a good idea for me. Even like human services in general, I think I'd have a hard time. Being a nurse, a doctor, just knowing that people aren't going to listen to what I tell them to do would drive me crazy.
Well, what's interesting is that Robert Urich is aware that Mary keeps coming over and he doesn't like it. So I think that's an interesting component of this story, which he comes to regret, because this is your one avenue that is assisting, that is helping your wife, and you feel weird about her talking to somebody about your lives, which reminded me of my own parents, and who I think therapy would have assisted our family greatly. But that was always the great big fear, like you're talking about me to a stranger.
Well, I can appreciate that because it's like, I don't know what you're saying, and what you're saying may not be true.
But what you're saying is my goddamn perspective. And it's important for me to unleash my perspective to the professional that is seeing me,
Sure, but the reality is, like, you're not trustworthy, right? Like, we can't trust this narrator. So I think while it's important for people to have an outlet professionally, certainly, to work through their issues, I can appreciate why some people, because the other thing is, we don't know this lady, but he knows his wife. So he definitely has some basis for why he's concerned.
He does, but he says shit to her because you had they're unpacking the house, and the first day he's really busy and has a luncheon that we watch this on YouTube, and the subtitles can't spell things correct, like luncheon, which is frustrating. Anyway, she unpacks everything, and she's doing her hair when he comes home, and he interrupts her. She surprises her, and he's like, God, I was going to help you unpack. He's like, God, you're dumb. Good thing you're beautiful.
Oh, I don't think this husband is handling this situation appropriately at all.
Oh, no.
And he is ignoring very extreme and necessary signs that his wife needs help.
He pouts when he thinks she's not listening to her. One very telling scene, which causes an explosive argument, which he leaves the house. He's doing work, I'm using air quotes, while there's a football game blaring on the TV. She's trying to find a way to navigate speaking about how I want to go take classes again and get a degree. The child is screaming for the other room for daddy to come look at me. And he treats mother and child as if they are just white noise.
Yeah. I agree. I think what I'm trying to say is that it feels like a very realistic depiction of how this might go down.
Yes.
So I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I am on his side. I just think
No,
it
no,
feels
no.
very realistic that, yeah, I would feel some kind of way like, who are you talking about? And you're talking about us. And how do I know what you're saying? And then all of a sudden you start thinking these things that are like, well, yeah, from your one-sided perspective that you're telling some person who doesn't know me or us. And now they're boosting your head up to think something, that's a more paranoid response, but I don't
Yes.
think it's wholly unreasonable.
No, and I think that
Because
is
knowing the
natural and
person,
realistic.
it's like, well, you have a tendency to conflate things and you don't like to ever seem like the villain. So you're just going to make everything sound like you're a victim. And
Yes, but a professional who is trained and has degrees knows all those things already too.
yes, of course. But I'm saying that I think I can see how a person would be concerned. Like, well, if you have this outlet where you can just spit out this bullshit narrative of yours, even if the person is trained to know that I don't have both sides of the story,
Mm-hmm.
it's still like, well, what are you saying? And so I'm paying for you to go every week to tell your lies. If I'm not that person necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I think that these two characters are written in a way that, again, this felt way more heavy than I was expecting.
Yeah, we were just
it was like a buzzkill.
I was like, let's watch this fun thing on Friday night. Mm-hmm.
But let me keep going. It takes 56 minutes for Teeny to hit Robbie.
The slap.
And not that I want to see a little kid get beat up, but I was just expecting it much sooner. But right before that, after the husband, Bobby, tells Teeny, you need to get your shit together. It seems like she does, because we get a scene where they're like, isn't everything great? And they're at the playground. And this man tells his wife, well, let's have a second baby. It's time.
And it shows me how much I trust you now as a mother. What?
But this is after she had said, I want to go back to college. I want to do this. It's like, you're not listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
I need other outlets. I can't just be this baby making machine who sits at home.
Well, they're both burying their heads in the sand in different ways to smooth things over, which is also a very human thing to do. And like a lot of people think it's a mistake to think like, let's get another pet or another child, because that will prove that we are stable.
After the little girl leaves the hospital from her traumatic brain injury, we see her at home, and this little girl, I would love to know how the director got her to act like she's disabled. It's kind of funny. And you know who she reminded me of? Chloe Grace Moretz from The Eye.
Oh my God. Yes, with Jessica Alba in the hospital. Yes. Well, yeah, because they have their little sick hat on there and she's wobbling around the house.
Yes.
And, Nicole Eggert, to be a little child and have this grown-ass woman screaming in your face, like...
Well, and she's screaming too.
I know, it's
a pretty big role for a kid.
Right, and then, seeing this adult woman down a bottle of pills.
Well, before we get there, she's apologizing to her daughter.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know...
I'm never going to hurt you again.
I know I beat you so bad you ended up in the hospital needing surgery, and now you're like... in recovery, but I promise I won't do it again. And then the mom gets mad and starts breaking dishes like Rihanna. And
yeah.
And that's after she's on a call with Bobby, and Bobby, her husband, disappoints her by saying he's not going to be home and
to show up for the therapy session.
Right.
Yeah.
So she loses it, scares the daughter. And then, as you were about to say, she goes into the bathroom
and downs some pills and wakes up and has lost the baby.
So she attempts suicide, and in the process loses the baby she had in her belly.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. And of course, sad. Mary's there holding her hand. It's like, God bless Mary.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing is a lot of people that need that kind of help or assistance don't really receive it. There is, in most cases for people, there is no Mary,
No, she's like an angel.
Uh-huh.
You already mentioned this, but Bobby crying with his boss. I think it also did a good job of showing how, even today, I feel like with all the true crime I listen to, these straight men are killing their wives, their family annihilators, all because they don't feel like they can talk about their feelings.
Well, they are they feel like there's no way out, and then when that happens, violence occurs. Yeah.
Which I can certainly understand. But it seems like if you could at least talk through your feelings.
Yeah, that is kind of touching these.
Wouldn't, that wouldn't solve all your problems, but it might prevent you from killing everyone.
These two men drinking.
But I felt bad for him, well, for both of them, because it's like, this is the 70s when the pressure on this man to take care of this family, he is really the breadwinner.
He is, yes. And
he has a job that feels tenuous, like, I'm selling life insurance, and
Robert Urich, my mother was a big fan of Robert Urich.
he's very handsome.
In my household, as my father would pronounce the title, Lonesome Dove was a big deal in our house, based on a book by Larry McMurtry, which I would like to rewatch because I have fond memories of that as a kid. But yes, he died very young. He was in his 50s.
Now that Robbie is in protective custody, she's at some sort of like, I don't know. There's like children.
It's like a community center where the kid is. Mm-hmm.
And Teenie is living in her own little apartment. But a highlight of the end of the film is Mary confronts her, and she does some interesting form of like exposure role play therapy. I don't know what it was, but she basically tries to agitate Teenie
into realizing that how she's treating her daughter is the cycle of abuse that she herself has learned
from her own mother. And it seems to work. So the film ends with Teenie going to this center to visit her daughter who's playing out on a park. And initially the daughter's like, I hate you, I don't want to see you. But Teenie tells the daughter, I love you. And the way the daughter looks is like, I've never heard you say that before.
Aww.
So they run an embrace. And that's after Teenie explains to her husband, like,
they need time apart, and she basically, she doesn't use these words, but like, I have to discover myself. I don't really,
So the ending, Teenie admits she's kind of out of control, and her husband understands, I think, the depth of her
despair,
her illness, and agrees that he needs to protect Robbie while also supporting his wife's recovery. So the ending, I think, is kind of vague but hopeful, because it's suggesting that them acknowledging the abuse and seeking the treatment is the only way they can heal. So there is no like big like permanent family separation or anything. This feels much more like a message about emphasizing that abuse is preventable and that you need to seek help before something bad happens.
Ignoring it is the absolute worst thing you can do. Yes.
Which is so funny, because in the modern era, anytime a TV show or a movie has subject matter related to abuse or suicide, you always get like the phone number, and they try to make it all serious. And it's so funny that in this movie they don't even mention because it's the 70s. It's just like, well, here's the story.
I mean, this shit's going on in all y'all's houses, I bet.
Okay, themes. The hidden nature of child abuse. Like, this family seems like a normal, you have these two attractive parents and this little towhead child, and I mean, they just seem like an ordinary suburban family. But then underneath that is this pretty extreme abuse.
Trauma.
I mean, it's interesting because when I think about my own childhood, and if I tell people like how my mom used to whip our asses, and well, specifically mine, it's like, wow, you were abused. But the feeling at home was not that. Like, I loved being at home. I loved being around my mom. I just would act up and she would slap the shit out of me and I'd move on. But then you think, watching this little girl in her household, it just, like, I felt so uncomfortable for her. And I felt like, God, I would have hated to just be in that house.
I mean, that's how I felt growing up. I did not want to be at home. That's why I started working full time when I was 16.
So it's interesting. You never really know. Because I think if someone just heard me say pieces of my childhood, you would think I hated it. But it was like, there was nothing that made me happier than being at home with my mom.
You also have, as listeners can attest to, eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Yeah, but I think I still, like, when I think about when I was the most happy, there are pockets in my life. And certainly, like, up until the age of 10, I think I was, like, I just loved being at home. And I remember getting in trouble. But again, my mom was like a sweet lady outside of being upset with me. Whereas the way Teenie's presented is, she seems like bipolar in a way.
Yeah, she does.
She's manic. And
undiagnosed things.
Right.
Not you're making your mother sound like, I'm not mad at you, it's mad at the dirt.
My mom just didn't play any games.
Oh.
Like,
I don't know.
She was a sweet lady, but then when she got upset, she would get us together and then move on. But
there's some game plans going on with other things, maybe.
No, for sure. I mean, this is, I think, why this movie is sobering, because I don't think my childhood was perfect. And the other thing is, a person who's not a parent, I don't know that you can be fully prepared, because you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what's going to pop out the oven, and you don't know that kid's temperament and their issues, and you don't know how you'll change as you get older and what your patience will be like.
And it's not like our society has really prepared anyone for those things usually either.
I can't even handle this cat. I can't even imagine having a little human being in the house. And even though I'm like educated and have resources and could get help, I still feel like you might have to call the police on me if this kid acts too crazy. I don't know. So I can only imagine someone who doesn't have the resources or feels more trapped or maybe is not as, refined, let's say, how they might. And then you couple that with a history of abuse on their part, right? I mean, I think that's what this film is saying.
Yes.
Another theme is isolation. Teenie is lonely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a main storyline that I don't think it's not like thrown in your face, but once the film ended, I realized like, gosh, she had no one really besides Mary to talk to. And that was contentious.
Yes. And that was taken away.
Because when the one lady,
Gloria,
the 2 times she tries to talk to her, Teenie is really not.
Well, because Gloria could also gossip to the others.
That's true.
You don't feel vulnerable.
But that's also a form of isolation when you don't feel safe to communicate because
exactly.
it'll be weaponized. So without friends, without work, which she craves, without emotional outlets, every little thing is magnified. I think the biggest theme is obviously mental illness. I'm not a mental health professional. I would assume that you could probably throw in like postpartum depression in there. Like maybe this started from when the little girl was a baby.
I mean, going back to attachment theory, right? And how her own mother treated her. How she's lashing out feels normal in a way too. She knows it's wrong, but there's a normal cycle that happens. Yeah.
And then speaking of that, another theme is breaking the cycle, which the film makes very clear.
It ends with us.
So I guess, hopefully for this family, they've taken the first step in preventing further generational trauma.
And forest fires. I think of note, the cinematographer is Paul Lohman, who shot High Anxiety for Mel Brooks time after time, and Robert Altman's Nashville.
Cheryl Ladd, who is best known, I think, for Charlie's Angels, and like you said, is a beautiful woman. We're used to seeing her as glamorous and heroic. So this feels like a departure because she's still gorgeous in this movie. Like she looks like this perfect little thing, but she really goes in playing this abusive mother. I was impressed.
I was impressed
at
as
her
well.
range.
Yeah, and this is at the height of her Charlie's Angels fame.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's interesting, kind of the material that was allowed for actors to stretch themselves too. I mean, I was ignorant of this until I saw those clips on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, she has more of a range than I would have expected.
Well, TV films back then had more cachet than.
Yes, I think there was a certain level of seriousness because it was also considered an event that drew everyone. That's why you have such a kind of a fantastic cast and crew. But I'm unfamiliar with the director Peter H. Hunt, but I think directed a lot of television stuff, including a miniseries about Pompeii. And I was looking him up as we started this, and there's a really interesting TV movie he made. I think it's called Sins of the Past, about a group of sex workers who are being plagued by a serial killer. And 3 of those workers are played by Kim Cattrall, Barbara Carrera, and Kirstie Alley. Barbara Carrera, from the Island of Dr. Moreau remake.
I think I'm losing my spunk. Robert Urich, I like his portrayal. The character is not written as a villain per se.
No, he's not.
He's clearly emotionally unavailable and consumed by his work and slow to recognize warning signs. But I think that he does care about the status of his family. Not to make excuses, but he does seem overwhelmed with all of this responsibility on him.
Because he is, yeah.
This film premiered on November 25th, 1979. Did you mention that Cheryl Ladd's then husband, David Ladd, was one of the film's producers?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Apparently, the filmmakers auditioned around 300 children for the role of Robbie before they picked Nicole Eggert.
Oh.
Apparently, there's an actress named Nancy Lenehan who's known for My Name is Earl and other sitcom appearances, made her screen debut in this film.
Oh, yeah, she's one of the friends at the park.
The movie was also released under the alternate title A New Start in some markets.
That is misleading.
Well, I feel bad that I picked a bummer of a movie.
No,
I also feel stupid. Like, why? I didn't know it was going to be about this woman going through extreme hardships and child abuse. I really thought it was going to be about a bad little kid.
I was happy to still see it, though.
What would you give? When She Be Bad.
That When She Be Bad. That said, it does fall apart, especially at the end, I think, but 2.5.
I think it's fine for what it is. I would give it 2.5 out of 5. It is available on YouTube's.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't use the closed captioning because that's distracting. What do we have coming this week?
The Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which you see it on Monday, and I'm going to be out of town, so I have to wait to see it till next Thursday.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
And I have no interest in this movie. I know we have a review coming for Staircase,
Mm-hmm.
the 1969
Stanley Donen film, mm-hmm.
starring
Rex Harrison and Richard Burton
as a gay couple.
Mm-hmm.
And we reviewed this movie with a film professor.
Yes, we did.
P.T. Klein.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be 3 of us.
Yes, interesting.
So that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about it.
Yes, I think that we might not have time for anything else next week.
Are you reading anything?
I'm stuck on Cormac McCarthy, y'all. Oh my God. But I'm about to be on a flight somewhere, so maybe I just need to choke it down.
Are you joining a book club?
I have 2 friends that keep wanting me to, and I think Giant by Edna Ferber might have been agreed upon, but we're going to see. We're going to see what I get to.
All done?
Mm-hmm.
Ta-ta.